We are watching a summit in Jeddah as President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi arrived in Saudi Arabia to participate in Jeddah Security and Development Summit. The summit brings together the leaders of the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, Egypt, Iraq and Jordan, as well as U.S. President Joe Biden. Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman received President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi upon his arrival at Jeddah International Airport. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Bassem Radi said that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's participation in the summit comes as part of Egypt's keenness on developing cooperation between Arab countries and the United States in a way that achieves the aspirations and interests of the current and future generations of the region. Raji noted that the summit would boost joint cooperation action to face regional and international challenges, as well as boost consultations and coordinations regarding the efforts to preserve peace, regional and international security.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. صدق الله العظيم.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو، أرحب بكم في المملكة العربية السعودية وأنقل لكم تحيات سيدي خادم الحرمين الشريفين الملك سلمان بن عبد العزيز آل سعود وتمنيات خطبة هذا بنجاح.
Our meeting today comes in the light of the whole world and our recent witnessing escalating challenges that require a collective effort to respect the integrities of the countries, and we hope that this summit will face a new era of the collective or the joint challenges to solve the joint interests and bolstering the security and development in the region. Escalating challenges witnessed by the whole world, such as the COVID-19 and the geopolitical institutions that require to achieve the food security and the health, as well as the environmental challenges, on top of which the climate change and the global warming, according to the agreements of Paris, requires to deal with it realistically by adopting a balanced approach throughout the oil resources that taken into consideration the circumstances of each country.
دون مراعاة الأثر الناتج عن هذه السياسات في ركائز الاجتماعية والاقتصادية للتنمية المستدامة.
That will be the pillars for the social development, the oil prices that is threatened, including the increase of poverty and terrorism and extremism, and assuming that the growth of the world require the good optimizations of all the natural resources of energy that constrain the ability of the whole world to the zero pillars in 2022. Therefore, the kingdom has adopted a balanced approach for the and a good optimization of natural resources, energy resources, to deal the emissions as well as the green Middle East. As also affirming the importance of the eradication of uses in the fossil and the importance of the investors to the policies adopted to avoid and wasting the energy that affected the economy of the world. The kingdom will do its role to reach 13 barrels a day and will be having an added ability. The future of energy that will be require the priorities to achieve the peace and security and prosperity for the region and to confront the political and security challenges, and call upon Iran as a neighboring country to cooperate with the states of the region through the commitments of the international legislative principles and to cooperate with the International Agency for the Nuclear Energy. Kingdom of Saudi Arabia adopted to reach a peaceful solution in sorting the crisis in Yemen and to provide the peaceful and possible means for the prosperity of the Yemeni people, as well as the Palestinian cause. And it pleases us that Iraq is witnessing a good stability and a positive interaction of the regional and international sphere, present the electrical link agreement between the kingdom and Iraq that contribute to provide the need of Iraq of electricity, as well as in Egypt and Jordan. This would require the realistic and political solutions to the crisis in Syria and Libya. Your Majesties, Your Excellencies,
إلى وضع إطار شامل لمرحلة جديدة نبعث فيها الأمل لشباب وشابات المنطقة بمستقبل مشرق يتمكنون فيه من تحقيق آمالهم ويقدمون للعالم رسالتنا وقيمنا النبيلة التي نفتخر بها ولن نتخلى عنها، ونتمنى من العالم احترامها كما نحترم القيم الأخرى بما يعزز شراكتنا ويخدم المنطقة والعالم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعطي الكلمة الآن لفخامة الرئيس جوزيف بايدن.
Well, thank you. It's good to be once more together with so many vital partners in strengthening our cooperation on the future of this consequential region of the world. I'd like to thank our Saudi hosts for inviting the United States to join this summit and for their hospitality in welcoming all of us. A great deal has changed since I visited this region when I served as Vice President of the United States. both on the world stage and in the Middle East. Around the world, we're seeing efforts to undermine the rules-based order, with China's increasingly coercive actions in the Indo-Pacific and beyond, with Russia's brutal and unprovoked war against its neighbor in Ukraine, with Iran's destabilizing activities. Here in the Middle East, we've also seen critical changes. For the first time since 9/11, an American president is visiting this region without American troops being engaged in combat and a combat mission in the region. We'll always honor the bravery and selflessness and sacrifices of the Americans who served, including my son, Major Bo Biden, who was stationed in Iraq for a year. And we'll never forget the memory of the 7,054 American troops who made the ultimate sacrifice while serving in Iraq, Afghanistan, and elsewhere over the last 2 decades. But today, I'm proud to be able to say that the era of land wars in the region, wars involving huge numbers of American forces, is not underway. But we maintain both the capacity and the absolute determination to suppress the terrorist threat wherever we find it. We've demonstrated that this year, eliminating the mayor of ISIS on a daring operation just this week, taking out another key leader of ISIS. We're going to continue our counterterrorism efforts, working with a broad coalition of countries, including everyone around this table. And we will turn our attention and our resources to supporting our partners, strengthening our alliances, and building coalitions to solve the problems facing this region of the world and the world today. The United States is clear-eyed about the challenges in the Middle East and about where we have the greatest capacity to help drive positive outcomes. Our objectives are focused, realistic, and achievable, so that we can target our resources, rebuild trust, and deliver real results. And we will operate in the context of the Middle East as it is today, a region more united than it has been in years. The GCC is a prime example of that. Former rivals reestablish diplomatic and economic ties. New memberships are being forged. And increasingly, the world is seeing the Middle East through the lens of opening and opportunity. Let me state clearly that the United States is going to remain an active, engaged partner in the Middle East. As the world grows more competitive and the challenges we face more complex, it is only becoming clear to me that how closely interwoven America's interests are with the successes of the Middle East. We will not walk away and leave a vacuum to be filled by China, Russia, or Iran. We'll seek to build on this moment with active, principled American leadership. Our new framework for the Middle East has 5 key principles. I'd like to very briefly share them with you today. First, the United States will support and strengthen partnerships with countries that subscribe to the rules-based international order. And we will make sure that those countries can defend themselves against foreign threats. The United States and each of the countries around this table are an essential part of that order because we reject the use of brute force to change borders. When the entire GCC plus Egypt and Jordan voted in the United Nations General Assembly to condemn Russia's invasion of Ukraine, it was a watershed moment. It showed that the core values of sovereignty and territorial integrity are truly universal. And I want to be clear, supporting the rules-based order doesn't mean we always have to agree on every issue. But it does mean we align around core principles that allow us to work together on the most pressing global challenges. For example, on food security, we're collectively committing billions of dollars to alleviate the crisis here in the region, with more than $1 billion coming from the United States. On energy security, we agree on the need to ensure adequate supplies to meet global needs. Energy producers have already increased production and look forward to seeing what's coming in the coming months. And on the climate crisis, we're collectively investing hundreds of billions of dollars in clean energy initiatives increasing our climate ambition, and working together to diversify supply chains and invest in critical infrastructure. And we're looking forward to Egypt and the UAE hosting the next two major UN climate conferences. Second, the United States will not allow foreign or regional powers to jeopardize the freedom of navigation through the Middle East's waterways, including the Straits of Hormuz and Bab el-Mandeb. Nor will we tolerate efforts of any country to dominate another in the region through military buildups, incursions, and/or threats. The free flow of commerce and resources through the Middle East is the lifeblood of the global economy. That's as true today as it has been for decades. And when nations adhere to international rules, it works. So my administration has made it a priority to protect those vital waterways. We've established a new naval task forces to work in partnership with many of your navies to help secure the Red Sea. That includes the first naval task force to use multi-manned surface vessels and artificial intelligence technology to enhance maritime awareness. We're also integrating air defenses and early warning systems to ensure that we can defeat airborne threats. Third, the United States will not just aim to deter threats to regional stability. We will work to reduce tensions, de-escalate, and end conflicts wherever possible. This approach is already reaping dividends. As was mentioned, in Yemen, working closely with Saudi Arabia, Oman, the UAE, and the UN, we forged a truce that is now in its 15th week. We've welcomed the leadership of Iraqi Prime Minister Khatami to bring countries from the region together for talks in Baghdad. Thanks to the months of quiet, persistent diplomacy, we helped finalize an agreement to remove international peacekeepers from Tiran Island of the Red Sea and transform an area that once sparked wars into a future hub of peaceful tourism and economic development. And as we continue to work closely with many of you to counter the threats posed at the region by Iran, we're also pursuing diplomacy to return constraints on Iran's nuclear program. But no matter what, the United States is committed to ensuring that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. Fourth, the United States will build political, economic, and security connections between the United States, between the U.S. partners wherever possible, while respecting each country's sovereignty and independent choices. Integration, interconnection, these are the underlying themes of our meeting today. How many years have we been trying to connect Iraq's electricity to the GCC grids? I remember being briefed on it in 2016 when I was Vice President of the United States. I said, let's get it done. Well, today, finally, after years of failed efforts and false starts, thanks to the efforts of so many around this table, it's done. New energy projects linking the region, a new free trade deal, investments between neighbors, like the Saudi investments in Egypt and Jordan. And the more we build these connections, the more we'll see the benefits that return to our peoples and will grow. Fifth, the United States will always promote human rights and the values enshrined in the UN Charter. Foundational freedoms are foundational to who we are as Americans. It's in our DNA, but it's also because we know that the future will be won by the countries that unleash the full potential of their populations, where women can exercise equal rights and contribute to building stronger economies, resilient societies, and more modern and capable militaries, where citizens can question and criticize their leaders without fear of reprisal. I've gotten plenty of criticism over the years. It's not fun, but the ability to speak openly and exchange ideas freely is what unlocks innovation. Accountable institutions that are free from corruption, that act transparently, and respect the rule of law are the best way to deliver growth, respond to people's needs, and I believe ensure justice. And no country gets it right all the time, even most of the time, including the United States. But our people are our strength. Our countries, with the confidence to learn from their mistakes, grow stronger. So let me conclude by summing all this up in one sentence. The United States is invested in building a positive future in the region in partnership with all of you, and the United States is not going anywhere. This is a table full of problem solvers. There's a lot of good we can do if we do it together. Thank you again for inviting me to participate in this summit today, and thank you for the many years of partnership between your countries and the United States. God protect our troops. Thank you.
شكرا فخامة الرئيس. والآن أعطي الكلمة إلى صاحب الجلالة الملك عبد الله الثاني بن حسين ملك المملكة الأردنية الهاشمية
the king of the Hashemite of Jordan.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد النبي العربي الهاشمي الأمين. أخي صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير محمد بن سلمان بن عبد العزيز السعود، أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو، فخامة الرئيس جو بايدن، أصحاب المعالي والسعادة، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. فيسرني في البداية أن أتوجه بالشكر والتقدير إلى أخي خادم الحرمين الشريفين الملك سلمان بن عبد العزيز السعود، وإلى صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير محمد بن سلمان بن عبد العزيز السعود والمملكة العربية السعودية الشقيقة على هذه الدعوة الكريمة وعلى حفاوة الاستقبال وحسن التنظيم. Mr. President, thank you for your participation in this summit. Your presence today is a testament to the United States' dedication to the stability of our region and our close and historic partnership. It underlines your leading role and efforts to bolster regional security and support peace and prosperity. أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو،
Your Excellency, we convene today and our region and the whole world is confronting unspirited challenges from the economic repercussions of the COVID-19 as well as the reflections of the Ukrainian crisis on energy and the food, as well as the escalating conflicts that the region is suffering. Therefore, it is a must for us to look and respect of cooperation opportunities and the collective work to pursue the regional integrations in the field of food security, energy, transportation and water. We are in Jordan. We see these opportunities to be translated into a real and solid translation based on the bond and established relationships in the GCC and our brothers in Egypt and Iraq to serve our interests, believing that the only path for progress is to work in a form of partnership, as we are in Jordan, still receive more than 1 million immigrants from Syria and providing the health and education services, as well as the current threats in our borders in confronting the drug smuggling that became a great danger that affect the whole region. It is our responsible shoulder in behalf of the international community that should continue its road to confront the crisis of the refugees as well as the hosted communities. Your Majesties and Excellencies, to guarantee the success of the regional partnership that we all pursue, it is a must for us that the economic cooperation should include our brothers in the PLO, that to be a firm and a proof to pursue a just solution for the Palestinian cause based on the two-state solutions and the lines of the borders of 1967 to live in peace and security with Israel. To conclude, I'd like to thank Crown Prince Mohammed Salman bin Saud and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for their pursuit to boosting this coordination and cooperation for the interests of our region and the whole world.
For your ongoing efforts to work towards peace, security and prosperity in our region and our world. Wassalamu alaikum.
And peace be upon you all. I thank His Majesty King Abdullah bin Hussein, the King of the Hashemite Jordan, for his word, and now they give the floor for His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of Egypt. In the name of Allah, my brothers, the Crown Prince, His Excellency Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Your Excellency President Biden, and I would like to extend my thanks and appreciation for the participated countries of this summit that comes in a very exceptional moment in the history of the whole world and the Arab region, and carrying in a very clear and political evidence, firm determination of the joint partnership between our countries and the United States of America, regionally and internationally, and that would enable us to move forward for a vast horizon of cooperation to fulfill the aspirations of our people, based on a very strong and extended bond, based on a solid principle that should not be aviated to achieve the joint prosperity for the whole people. Regional and world challenges being escalated, such as the COVID-19, climate change, food security, and the spread of the armed conflicts regionally and internationally that shed their light on the sides of our region that suffers political challenges as well as development and political challenges, including the threats of extremism and terrorism, and threat the lives of the upcoming generations. Our nation became to ask of our tools, instrument to confront these challenges and to solve the extended problems that the whole region is witnessing, that require for our region and countries their tangible contributions in formulating and to innovative solution based on realistic that we are working in Egypt to achieve, based on our belief that everyone has one in identity, which is the belonging to humanity. Was it acceptable that among our sons of the Arab nations of refuge or vulnerables of the crisis of war or lost hope of the upcoming future. It is a time to have a collective effort to confront the civil conflict that burden the peoples of the region and give the way to some powers to intervene in the internal affairs of our region, as well as the illegitimate aggression by creating conflict before the modern era that led the collapse of the modern and civil pillar of the state and paved the way for the phenomena of extremism and terrorism. Your Majesty, Egypt has a long history of role in the region, in opening of different people and different cultures and taking the path of the peace as a strategic choice prevented and preserved and believing to the strength of the logic, because it is vast for everyone, based on just and right and balance. And allow me from this place to propose a comprehensive approach of 5 pivots during the upcoming phase to serve the prolonged goals. First, as you may agree, that to move towards the future based on the deal with the prolonging crisis, whether they came through the past decade or to continue before that cannot be succeeded without continue to reaching just and peaceful Arab cause based on the two-state solution, based on the international legitimacy and the guarantee an independent Palestinian state on the borders of the 4th of June 1960 and the Jerusalem as in the capital, and live by side by Israel and provide a realistic reality that can be acceptable, and also create peace and have horizons and hope. Hence, it is a must to foster the joint effort not only on towards the peace, but to be in a momentum that to be relying on the pursuit of peace in the region. Secondly, building societies in time based on democracy and citizenship and equality and respecting the human rights and raising the interest of the national entity, the guarantee to complete of stability as well as preserve the human potentials. That also required the fostering of the national state role as well as developing their potentials such as skills and capabilities, and to shoulder their responsibility throughout the good governance as well as the provision of the human and political rights, as well as the role of women, the role of institutions and religious organizations to spread the beliefs of tolerance, and establishing the social, economic, political reform, provision of job opportunities, and reaching the sustainable development and fulfillment of the aspiration of the people towards a better future. Thirdly, such a pivot is relied on the national Arab security as with the cooperation of its partners to provide the proper framework to confront the threats surrounding our Arab world. And I would like to reaffirm the proof of the non-intervention that is based on the spirit of the Human United Nations Charter, and to be the governors of the Arab relationships with the regional Arab states and internationally. It is notably noticed that to reaffirm the role of taking practical steps towards establishing a free region of complete full destruction and preserve the not spread, and to be the pillar of a complete and integrated system for the security in the region. Fourth, it is a main challenge suffered throughout several decades, such as the extremism and terrorism that require a good confrontation aiming to eliminate their organizations that gain the sponsorship of the foreign powers to gain political and financial gains and hindering the interests of the national as well as the will of the people in some region. I affirm in this context that there is no place of the concept of militias and the armed gangs in the region, and such as their supporters that provide the place and for training need to review their calculations and misinterpretations that there is nothing but to confront anything would hinder the national security and to protect our interests. This pivot is linked to the pursuit of the international cooperation to confront the world crisis, such as the shortage of food chain, of supplies, and climate change to contain the repercussions and recovery of this crisis and to increase investment in infrastructure in different fields that contribute to the localization of different industries. In this context, Egypt is supporting all the efforts that to develop cooperation and partnership to confront the food security crisis and also to review its several dimensions in the long and short terms to fulfill the needs of the affected countries with the cooperation with the partners of the international supply institution. This should also go for dealing the crisis of energy that require an effective cooperation, given into consideration the success of the Forum of Mediterranean as an embodiment of the most contributors to running the national resources of energy. With respect to the water security, it is important to reaffirm the commitments of the international rules that are affecting the international waterways that require to prevent to the countries of the Nile basins that affect the rights of the other countries. It is required to work collectively in different multiplied frameworks, on top of which the United Nations framework of climate change by affirming the rules and objectives agreed upon that require to the most affected countries in Africa and what followed by the repercussions of the food security and political stability. It is required to come to a reach of a practical framework to erase the adaptation of the negative impact of the climate change that contribute to affect or to provide the financial resources and such. I look forward to receive you in Sharm el-Sheikh City in the COP27 in November 22 to continue affirming the efforts of challenging and facing the climate change and to move forward of a green economy. Your Majesties and Excellency, I want to joined you, the fifth spirit to confront the current challenges on the path of comprehensive stability and peace, to start a new chapter of a strategic partnership among our people and states that are based on the pillars of support and trust sharing, responsibility, taking into consideration the characteristics of each country in our era. To conclude, I would like to re-thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the good hospitality, and I wish to convey a message of our brothers, the peoples in the United States of America, to say to them, you'll always find in Egypt, as you know, witness the human civilizations as a support and a partner, and a hand is offered for assistance for the interest of our joint interest, and to go along in the path of building and construction, and our rely on ourselves and joint vision to deal with crisis that respected the will of the peoples and the rights of their choices, and what is provided of our potentials to enable us to overcome difficulties that will create a better future for the upcoming generation. Thank you, and peace be upon you all. I thank His Excellency, Mr. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the President of the Arab Republic of Egypt, and now I'll give the floor to His Majesty King Hamad bin Khalifa, the Kingdom of Bahrain. Thank you. In the name of Allah, Your Excellency, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, peace be upon you all. It pleases me in the outset to extend our warm hopes for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the distinctive success of the Hajj season of this year, thanking him for the kind invitation for such an exceptional opportunity to establish the strategic partnership among our countries and the United States of America as a friend led by His Excellency President Biden, and to study the solutions to achieve security and development for all the Middle East people, to confront collectively for the challenges that threat this regional stability, peace and security in the whole world. Middle East as a strategic presence have suffered throughout the years and still of economic and political challenges, and that would require from all of us and deep and balanced thinking to how to overcome crisis and circulated conflict, on top of which the Palestinian cause that to require a solution of establishing an independent Palestinian state based on the two-state solution and the Arab peaceful initiative, and creating a promising economic opportunities for the Palestinian people, and its effective partnership of a comprehensive development as being proposed within the outcome of peace in Bahrain 2019, as well as in reaching a political settlement of the Yemeni crisis, and to continue development and human support for the Yemeni people. The direct intervention of the domestic and internal affairs among the current challenges that violate the provided rights by the international laws, and it is a time to unite our efforts to have an end of such intervention based on the respect of the sovereignty of states and their civilized methodology in respecting the others, as well as the peaceful coexistence, and to continue our efforts to make the Middle East as a comprehensive arms extremism and terroristic organization. To maintain regional peace and security would require from all of us an effective and collective work in order to fulfill the aspirations of our people towards prosperity and peace. Based on that, I would like to affirm to continue the work of the joint forces, given into consideration the pivotal role in protecting the maritime work as well as world trade through and we are highly appreciate the constructive cooperation between our maritime cooperation and the Fifth Fleet of the US for more than 75 years in our kingdom in Bahrain. As we affirm on the importance of more importance of the efforts pursuing the stability of the world oil prices, as well as increase in investment, the expanding exploration and entering new technology that would contribute and support the world economic growth to confront the inflation of prices. And it is required to encourage all initiatives of exporting the person and affecting the initiative in supporting the vulnerable countries in achieving the food security. We are looking forward to that this summit would contribute in a fruitful outcome, constructive result, fostering the impact of joint work and establishing the friendship relations among our countries in order to enable us to confront economic, social, security and environmental challenges and base and spread the peace and security, and creating a long and established relation to fulfill the requirements of the present and the future. We pray to the Almighty God to get all the good for our countries and our people, and peace be upon you all. Thank you for His Majesty King Khalifa, and now I'll give the floor to Mr. Amir, His Royal Highness Amir of Qatar, Mr. Tamim bin Hamad. In the name of Allah, Your Excellency, His Excellency Dr. Biden, and to Your Majesty and His Excellency, I'd like to extend the thanks, the appreciation for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His King, His crowned friends, for the good hospitality and good organization. Your Excellency, such a very good summit is convened in light of the challenges confronted by the whole world in order to foster the cooperation between the countries to confront the world challenges, to respect what is enlisted in the half of humanity. Everyone is realizing there is no peace and security, no stability in light of stability or disability that saved our people, the whole humanity, more severe of casualties. But it is well known that the international law is an unknown law, only combined what they are pushed by their principles to combine with. Since the Cold War, all the countries is being transported the necessity of establishing states abiding by the charters of the United Nations and they're not subject for the interest of specific countries or the ideologies, and the international community have failed to do so. If one is realizing that wars and crises affect all the countries, war in Ukraine, there are direct and indirect casualties. Such a war has contributed to the escalating of economic crisis that led human casualties, such as developing countries importing the oil. Therefore, Qatar's states continue to support and save all the efforts to work together for the work on the oil supplies. We affirm the importance of the relationship between the United States of America and the Arab countries, and we cannot regret the pivotal role of the United States of America in the whole world and the region. To achieve stability in the Gulf area, it is a necessity, and we affirm our solid stance to avoid or to spare our nations the risk of the nuclear works and affirming to use in very clean energy. Affirming also to troubleshooting the disagreements based on respecting the state and the non-intervention of the internal affairs and the participation of children responsibilities. Challenges faced by the Middle East countries requiring a very and long and just solution of the Palestinian cause as a very central presence among our people, because it is a just cause and that has a very incentive and symbolic burden. This would continue unless Israel stops the violation of the norms and laws of the international law. It cannot be understandable to continue because of non-abiding of implying the resolutions of the international legitimacy. The Arab countries have all agreed upon the Arab and Peace Initiative for the normalization to, if Israel has agreed upon of a settlement that required to withdraw of the borders of the 1967 among the peace agreement, that it is not acceptable that the Arab role of proposing settlement and the role of Israel is a total rejection. If Israel has a public opinion, we also have a public opinion in the Arab region. We are looking forward for an effective role of the United States of the call upon of serious negotiations to regain the negotiations between Israel and the Palestine. not to have just a negotiation and delude ourselves that there is a current peaceful process. We look forward to continue the negotiation and reaching the Yemeni crisis based on the Gulf Initiative, its mechanism, instrument, and the Security Council resolution. We should come agreed upon approaches to be directed through solving the crisis in Yemen and other countries, and to distinguish between the collective approaches and its separation. They cannot be capable to do or to deliver the missions that Iraq and other countries have examples of such. With respect to Syria, we cannot accept the status quo that means the continuation of unjust and that require all of us to reach a peaceful solution that would fulfill the aspiration of the Syrian people, that overcome our regional responsibility, that we cannot forget our joint responsibility that face our whole humanity, such as the climate change. And we look for the COP27 in Egypt to fulfill the aspiration of the international community. I pray to the Almighty God to have a fruitful solution and outcome of this summit, and thank you very much for your listening. And now I'll give the floor to Mr. Premier of Iraq, Mr. Mustafa Al-Kazmi. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most passionate, Your Excellency, Your Royal Highness Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince, Your Excellency, Mr. Biden, the U.S. President, Your Excellencies, Your Majesties, peace be upon you all. Please me to extend the whole thanks and appreciation to our brothers in Saudi Arabia as a kingdom, people, and leadership on the good hospitality and organization to convene the summit that we hope that lead to establishing cooperation and integration in our region. We meet today amongst regional and international challenges, and as well as among a great aspiration that the cooperation would create a stable environment that would guarantee in a kind and a decent life of our people. There was no main role of confronting the terrorism, yet there's still ahead of us an added road to take that would require to foster the regional, international efforts in laying out a full strategy to confront terrorism that require expertise to be exchanged, as well as the occurring crisis required to fostering the regional and international efforts to guarantee the food security for our people, as well as securing the chain of supply in the Middle East, as damaged tangibly as of the repercussions of the climate change, water crisis, health challenges, and the spread of pandemics such as the COVID-19. All these require the collective work to confront. Your Excellencies, Majesties, the constitutional work is reaching 2 decades in Iraq towards a start of democracy despite all challenges. Yet we still have political challenges that affirm the need to maintain democratic values in life that require more work and a pile-up of expertise. After we've overcome the elimination of Daesh as it is in developing to maintain the security of Iraq. Iraq is pursued to fostering the dialogue in our region and considering the economic cooperation as well as security coordination among our brothers in the region that would serve the interest in the region and our people. The summits that gathered Egypt, Kingdom of Hashemite in Jordan has resulted a vision as a startup of cooperation in different fields based on our historic bonds in the region. Iraq as well as the GCC states have taken long steps to achieve integration in different agreements, as we signed several agreements with Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the GCC states, as well as in Jordan and Egypt in electrical linkage, with also fostering the dialogue in our people that goes in the interest of our region. And in this context, in Iraq has a path of negotiation to avoid the entry of nuclear weapons in the Middle East, to make it free of it, that serve the interest of our region and the whole world. Still, we are in need of reaching a comprehensive solution of the Palestinian cause and fulfilling the needs for the Palestinian people and the necessity of put an end of aggressions. And Iraq is affirming that the conflict should be solved based on the previous solution being set is the only path. Therefore, Iraq is supporting the truce in Yemen as a fruitful beginning of ending the Yemeni crisis. As also Iraq is supporting international regional efforts to solving the Syrian crisis to end such an endless war. Also, Iraq is calling to support the state of Lebanon in building cooperation bridges to regain stability in Lebanon. In the context, I would like to remind that Iraq is a producer of oil, but the mode of the increasing of environmental challenges, I call upon to increase the effort of provision of the renewable energy. It is also a necessity in order to understand the aspiration of the people. In this context, Iraq is choosing to establishing the Bank of Integration and Development with the cooperation of Egypt and Jordan for the sustainable development to finance projects of infrastructure to link the economies of the region and to develop regional electrical grids such as the natural gas and the heavy industries, and to also to finance the establishment of corporations of the natural water. To conclude, we hope to fulfill the longing, aspiration of our people in light of the presence of young leaders, and peace be upon you all. I thank Mr. Mustafa Al-Kazmi, and now I'll give the floor to the Crown Prince of Kuwait, His Royal Highness or Mishal. In the name of Allah, praise to the Almighty God, and peace and prayers be upon Prophet Muhammad, his companions. His Royal Highness, the servant of the custodian of the two holy mosques, the King of Saudi Arabia, Mr. President Joe Biden, the President of the United States of America, Your Majesties, Excellencies, peace be upon you all. Pleases me in the outset, while we are in Jeddah, the main portal of entering the greatest spot on earth in Mecca, to represent the Emir of State of Kuwait, praised and blessed by the Almighty God, and also it pleases me his brotherly greetings to his brothers and friends of their majesties and their excellencies, wishing them all the best and the noble summit all success. It also pleases me to extend thanks and appreciation to my brother, the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, the King of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, blessed and maintained by the Almighty God, and to my brother, his Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Defense, and to the government and the people of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for their good hospitality and distinguished preparation in hosting such a very important summit between the GCC states and their friend, the United States of America, that we all join there. It's a very distinct strategic interest and relation in light of this very difficult time that we are facing, of full challenges that are escalating, that require more consultations, more coordination and understanding to confront such challenges, and in pursuit in achieving our joint goals and fostering the requirements of peace and stability in this region and the whole world. Therefore, such a placed gathering in our brother and sister in GCC states and their friend representative of the United States of America, of having joint vision, unity of determination, such as Jordan and Arab Republic of Egypt and Iraq. And it pleases me to welcome to extend our welcome of Mr. President Joe Biden and a very special welcoming of his first and historic visit in the Middle East. His kind participation in the works of the G Summit, remembering all proud what we've reached in our relations between us and the United States of America, of tangible achievement in different fields, reflected by of security as an incentive of to continue our effort in supporting such strategic relations. Hence, it is not necessary to remember the effective and dominative role made by the United States of America as a leadership and people to confront the aggression in an epic cannot be forgotten in the history, shoulder to shoulder with our brothers in the states of the GCC, on top of them, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, our friendly country, and all beloved peoples of love, liberty and peace, on the process of Iraq, in the process of aggression in Iraq in 1997. Your Majesties and Excellencies, Kuwait is proud of such a gathering of the GCC Summit, and what being achieved for several years that extended more than 4 decades. Our brothers, member states, have sacrificed a lot and joined the unity of blood and destiny, achieving renaissance, prosperities for their peoples, understanding of a joint work and vision, laying out all the role models of agreement without disagreement in reaching the respect or gaining the respect of the whole world for them and for their people. Allow me to surely and truly affirm that we are in the GCC, that we are in safe hands towards fostering a strategic partnership with our friend in the United States, based on our belief in it is a necessity in the light of time that require cooperation and gathering not to paired, and we are closely follow up the levels of the Gulf cooperation, GCC and US cooperation that pushes us to be developed. All the kinds of cooperation between the GCC states and the United States and throughout all arenas and fields. Therefore, we hope, as countries and member states of the GCC, to be a good start to establishing treatments in the remedy of innovative solutions of our crisis, on top of which the Palestinian cause, according to the international legislations and the peace initiative and the right of the Palestinian people to establish their independent country state, as well as the call upon the Islamic Republic of Iran to cooperate with the international nuclear authorities and with the whole world to contribute the Gulf area and the Middle East to free of comprehensive destruction weapons and to continue the joint work to confront all the terrorist attacks against the pivotal facilities and take place in the UAE and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in a pursuit to secure the security for the maritime entrance. With respect to the Yemeni crisis, we praise in the efforts being taken in Yemen, all supportive, relevant and relevant entities toward achieving stability and security in Yemen, to have a remedy of such drastic issues, in particular development in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Afghanistan and other regional causes that still shed their dark lines on the stability of regionally and internationally. With respect to the Ukrainian crisis, we reaffirm our principal stance based on the UN Charter, respecting the international law, based on respecting the sovereignty of states and their integrities and their political independence and the non-intervention of the internal affairs. To conclude, I would like also to extend the greetings of our small in size country to push forward towards peace, human work, as well as the cooperation with our friends and brothers towards a peaceful world and to fulfill the aspirations and the hopes of the people to be united to avoid disagreements in confronting risks, surrounded challenges that we should praise our place of the Almighty God in depths of the land and on top of it, and praise in our effort for the fulfillment of the prosperity of our people, and peace be and the blessings of the Almighty God be upon you all. To conclude, Your Majesty and Excellency, I would like to thank you for effective participation in this summit that reflected the depths of our relations as the United States of America. We praise in what has been witnessed in the keenness to continue cooperation in confronting international and regional challenges in different arenas, politically and in health, as well as the challenges in achieving peace and security and prosperity for the whole world. And thank you.